How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, a show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am the other host, Tim Wagner.
Tim, how is it going?
It's going.
Good. We gotta talk about. I'm just gonna jump right into the topics, and then we'll get into our housekeeping because I want to get people excited about the fishing topic, which is crappies.
Crappie.
We're going to talk about crappies, dude. It's totally the season for crappies. Full disclosure, full just being out there. We were going to try to go hit some of the spawn not too long ago, and the weather took a turn for the worse here in Minnesota, and we've really had a cold spell that has pretty much fucked that idea up.
Yep. For the area that we were going to go fish. Like if we went southern Minnesota,
Right.
maybe, because the people in southern Minnesota might be like, what are you talking about, dude?
Right.
but-
Good point. We were going to go a little bit further, middle north, maybe.
Middle north. Yes, I like that
And
term.
then topic 2, we're going to talk about the NFL draft because I have questions. But also because it's the NFL draft. Like, it's crazy to me what the draft has turned into in the last, what I perceive as few years, not being a huge sports guy. So that's our second topic.
Yeah.
For now, let's get into a little housekeeping.
Yeah.
How do you feel about housekeeping?
Fuck it. I don't like it at all. If I had money, I would pay for somebody to do that for me. But I don't have money, so I gotta do it myself. But I choose not to a lot, so don't come over to my house uninvited or like unannounced. Give me some time, fuckers. I haven't been cleaning.
Okay, let's do some Real AF TV housekeeping. Tim, we have talked about May 8th. What's the big deal? What's the thing?
We are making videos of ourselves talking.
Yes. We now have cameras. We are working on getting this cameras dialed in, and we are actually going to go live for our first time.
Live.
On May 8th. Say it again.
May 8th. We're going live.
Woo! Yeah, so we are going to go live on the YouTube channel. So if you don't follow us already, please, REELAF TV. Go look us up on YouTube. Do the subscribe and the notification things and all of that stuff because you will know then when we go live. But we are going to go live May 8th on the Real AF TV YouTube channel from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Central Time. We got videos.
We got
calibrating.
Check it
and
out.
We're trying
to
do. Yeah. So like we said in the last podcast, we're trying to do some big announcements and things. And well, here's a little hint already. We got cameras. So
yeah,
please share with your friends. Let us know everything else because let us know if you're going to be able to make it, like hit us up in the comments and stuff like that. Say like, I'll be there because we're going to go for 4 hours, man. That's a long time. That's a lot of Saturday.
And we expect a full commitment. If you can't be there, then don't show up. No, just kidding. Just pop in. Say hi, whatever. 4 hours is a long time, but we understand that people have lives and you might not be able to make it when we start. You might not be able to make it when we finish, but maybe you got a little chance to pop in. I don't know if you ever been like Facebook Live and like watching somebody else, but you can do it anywhere. COVID times, I don't know what you're doing these days, but you could be at the mall and like, your wife is like, I gotta run into where a lady shop, Forever 21, something like that. And then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna stay out here in the hallway. And then,
bam, grab your phone, hit up YouTube. Boom. Hey, there's Josh and Tim on Real AF TV's YouTube channel.
Live.
And we're live. Yeah. And that's why we're going to do it for 4 hours. You make a perfect example. It's like 4 hours. We're going to be there for 4 hours. So that way you can pop in whenever you feel. We're going to be trying to do, roll the announcements through, kind of do those check-ins. You know how these things go. We're just we got announcements. We want to do it live. We're going to be playing video games, fishing video games, of course.
Yes.
and and just doing things like that, catching up. Kind of, it's not going to be a podcast, but it's going to be a bigger event for us, something we've never done, and I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yeah, we'll have a couple segments. There'll be this and that and the other things. There will be stuff to watch. It's not like we're just gonna be like, we're going live. Are you guys watching? Hey, ding ding ding. Hey, you guys out
We're
there?
gonna sit there for 4 hours.
Look at us. You ever seen magic tricks?
You guys live on the internet before?
This is what a shadow puppet looks like when there's no backlight. I don't know. just trying to fill time because we got nothing. We're just like, hey.
Right. We do not plan on making it 4 hours of filling time because we have nothing. That is
right.
Not the case.
No, we have plans.
We have plans. Definitely going to be playing fishing video games. Going to be announcing things. Going to be periodically announcing. So please, again, May 8th on the Real AF TV YouTube channel. If you like and subscribe and all that fun stuff over there, it will just let you know when we go live too. Of course, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram too. We keep up on those: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll be making sure to announce it there too and share the link and all that fun stuff. So please join us for that.
Side note, YouTube is where we get to go, because I thought YouTube wasn't. Sorry to just be like, we got plans, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, hey, what are we doing? But like we had chatted about it a little bit, and YouTube will work now, or because
so what we chatted about was actually YouTube mobile, not regular YouTube. Like we can go live. We can go live YouTube through our PCs. We can't go live through
with our
YouTube
phones.
mobile, which leads me to a perfect thing of, this is why we need you to help share the podcast and share YouTube and stuff like that with your friends. Just, everybody's got a phone with YouTube on it. Just grab their phone and say, like, you have a Google account, you have a YouTube account. I'm just going to subscribe you to these guys real quick, because we need a certain amount of subscribers to be able to go live on our mobile devices.
And that's where the confusion came in for me, for anybody at home, because we had talked about this, but not all the details. Plus, I'm a little slow, so
you just don't get the technical stuff like I do. Like, I read it, and sometimes I just get it, and I don't even convey it correctly, I think is what happens.
Right. No, I'm very what's the word? I can't think of it right now. Hands-on, but
learner.
yes, like literal. Like if you're like, you say one thing, I'm just taking that and running with it. I'm like, I thought you said this, and there's no other options, and then you're like, no, there's options, and I'm like, oh,
right, yes.
So, anyways, yes, this is an interesting podcasting for people to listen to. Sorry.
The behind the scenes shit for the last 15 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Let's get into it, Tim. Let's get into fishing. We are going to be talking about crappies because they're delicious.
They are also delicious.
Because super good fishing.
Love them.
I, of course, am going to bring the goofy details, but we're not just going to talk about silly things like the white crappie is basically a black crappie.
And the black crappie is basically a white crappie. And I also have, I'll bring in the silly too, because they're both known as the paper mouth. Because
really?
They got floppity ass mouths. No, they're just their mouths are just thin. Like when you hold them up, when you lip them, like their mouths are thin, and the hook can rip through pretty easy. So that's one of their nicknames.
Okay. So on that note, I wasn't planning on going there just yet, but like,
whoops.
What does that mean? No. That's how the podcast works, man. We just flow. What does that mean for when you're actually fishing for them? Like, what does that mean for the hooks and stuff? Like, is there anything special that you have to do to compensate for that?
Not really. They're smaller fish, so you don't want anything like too big, because they're probably just not going to eat it. If it's a massive hook, they're just not going to try to eat it when they're little, you know. So a smaller
Sure,
hook
sure, sure.
helps. Um, but just don't set the hook like a maniac, you know. Like some of those people that are trying to set the hook, like when they're bass fishing, and they take that
Yep.
step back. We talked about that the one day. They take that step back and then they go,
That's right. We
bam!
did.
Like
Yeah.
if you
That
do that with a
exaggerated,
crappie, yeah,
almost like they're doing it just for the camera sort of situation,
right, yep.
right?
And if you do, and if you do it with the crappie, you might set the hook fine at first, but you like open up a hole. So if you give him any leeway, that hook just falls right out.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That's a really good point.
you're not necessarily like actually ripping their lips off, but that is a definitely possibility. It's like they have their upper lip goes from like
Mhm.
here and attaches back here. Like if you ever catch one of the fish and
You
you
get
hold it, you'll see how
you
it
gotta do
comes
that
out.
again for the people who are just listening. We're still just releasing this one audio.
Upper lip.
So from here to here doesn't mean
Right.
anything in an
I,
audio
I,
podcast.
you say you got to do that one again, and I just like lean further into the camera.
Get closer to the camera. Yes, in case you're wondering, we're
Yes.
calibrating the videos in this exact episode. But
Yes. So you guys
try the
aren't
lifting
seeing
it.
it yet, but we are filming this one. So I'm like, this is the first time ever using the camera. So I'm just like staring at myself trying to talk. Like, what do you mean? People can see me touching my face right now. No, so the upper lip, um,
Goes from like the center of their face almost.
well, no, the upper lip is just like a person's would be. It's like the
Okay.
corners of your mouth. It goes all the way there. But instead of attaching to the lower lip like ours do,
Yeah.
it's kind of free floating there. It's like a
Oh.
thinner, I don't even know what you would call it. It's
Yeah,
not
almost just a
skin.
membrane.
It's almost like a cartilage, like it's a little bit tougher.
Oh.
And
Okay.
when they open their mouth, you know, because their lips will stay tight to their face, and when they open their mouth, it kind of extends almost. Um,
Okay.
think of
Yeah.
it like when you have some of like that corrugated tubing, and there's like the wire in the tubing, like their lips are like the wire, and the the mouth itself, like the part that holds it, is just kind of like that plastic that's, you know, in
Hmm.
between the wire
Yeah.
band, if
Yeah.
that makes sense to anybody. But that part is thin. That's where it
Yeah.
pops through. I forgot what I was even going at with this part.
No,
Like
you were
I distracted
no, you were
myself with the
saying that
video and
it's No, I mean that was sort of where it all was is because it all goes back to, don't rip hard on it. You may not necessarily be ripping their lips off though
oh yeah,
possible.
yeah,
You
right. Oh,
open up a
that's
hole in their
yeah.
mouth, which is like that's just not a set hook anymore then
Yes,
at that point.
that's
So that's something you have to
yep.
think about when fishing for
Yeah,
crappies.
and that's what I was gonna say. That's where I was going with it. Like how the upper lip isn't like ours, where it's not attached to the lower lip. So you can technically, like I've seen it before, where in more than just the crappies. By the way, it's just easier to do with crappies. But
Sure.
where you'll rip that membrane on the corner of the mouth, and there's nothing
Okay.
holding the corner on but that membrane. So then it's
Oh,
just that like bonier piece of the lip, and then it's
yeah.
just an opening where the hook can just slide right out.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah. So you just it's not too hard. You just can't, like, definitely don't go out there setting the hook like you would for a bass expecting the same results.
Right. There's a little finesse to a panfish sometimes. This was kind of where
Oh
that
yeah.
conversation was going. Is like you can't don't just think that it's a panfish, just set the hook and bring it in, There's a little finesse to it. It makes
Oh yeah.
sense.
Crappies are a lot different. And a lot of people, like, if you're fishing for sunfish or whatever, you can just kind of boat flip them a lot. And crappies, I definitely suggest, like, try to get that thing to the side of the boat and lip it and then lift it in, or
Oh,
just net it, because I've seen like multiple times where
yeah.
people in my family were all fishing together and they try to swing it over, and like halfway through the swing it just like flops off.
Falls out. Sure.
Yeah, and then I get
That
mad.
paper lip.
And then I get mad, and then they get mad because I'm just like, what the hell, guys? I told you
I
not
was a
to
good
do that.
eater.
Yeah, just like we're trying to put all these in the live well, and if you would just had some patience or whatever, we would have got it. But you flopped it in the water, and then they're just like, well, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, but it is. You had the fish. We had the
It
fish. Now we
is.
don't have the fish. It's a big deal. I need pictures for Instagram.
I need pictures. I need content. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the so let's get into the the basics of them. Is there's a white crappie, there's a black crappie.
Mhm.
I got my stuff from usgs.gov for the white crappie and fsw.gov for the black crappie. Doesn't really matter. I just like to always cite kind of what I'm doing here, but really when it comes down to it, you just go same fish.
Same fish. Yeah, same
They're
shit.
freshwater. The black crappie prefers a little bit clearer water. The white crappie, can live in a little bit more of a mucky sort of
Muddy.
situation.
Yeah.
But, they're so close to the same. There's just a little bit of visual look that changes is kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're really the same, and you fish for them different down south, and a lot of the down
Yeah.
south stuff is white crappies, and that's because their water is just a lot of their water is muddy, so they're
Yeah.
fishing shallower for them because the water's muddy. So like the weed
Yep.
line is deep and stuff, and
Yep.
they have I believe they call them spider rigs. I'm not super familiar with them because we can only
Okay.
have one line of person here. But
Right.
they'll have down south, they'll have whoops, hit the boom. They'll have one rod holder that splits off into
Oh.
four, I should say one rod holder. They'll have one support that'll split off into four rod holders. And they'll
Whoa.
have all four rods in the front of the boat, and they'll be driving up in the front with their trolling motor and just kind
Okay.
of trolling with all four rods in the front.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've never
looking.
even heard of trolling for a crappie. So that
Oh, yeah.
only were you just blowing my mind with the setup, but then you said trolling for crappie, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I got a friend that lives in St. Cloud that likes to troll for crappie.
Really?
Yeah, he'll just drag a little Mr. Twister. Mr.
Huh.
Twister's like a curly tail grub
Okay.
with a jig head, and then he just drags that behind the boat. And yeah, he catches a lot of crappie that way. He catches all sorts of fish, but he just gets in the right depth and just drags it back there and pulls in a bunch of crappie.
Interesting, because they're schooling fish. Like they're both the crappies, both black and white crappie. They're schooling fish. I
Yep.
just never thought that was how you went about getting a schooling fish. I guess because I thought you just went out and assumed the best that they're probably sitting here and there, and you just threw out. And if you found two, you probably found a school. Keep going.
Well, right, but they move too. They don't stay in one spot a lot.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
The
and
schools or like individually they split off into other schools? Do you know that much? I didn't find that.
the schools will stay together, but the
Okay.
whole school will move.
Oh.
Whoa.
Even though you turned away from the mic, it really picked it up well.
Was it? I'm trying to make. Oh well.
No, it was funny.
I should have just barbed. I should have barbed right into the thing. But no,
Baby's
they'll
awake.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
They'll move around with the whole school. But there are multiple schools. So if you just keep moving, if you're in the right depth,
you'll kind of hit different schools. You're not just going to sit on one.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
And especially in some of the smaller lakes, you can just circle around the deep stuff, or
Nice.
the right depth, not the deep stuff, but right where you think there are.
Sure. I got you. So back to the look and the anatomy, sort of. The easiest way I saw this, it was FWS came with this one, is there's actually dorsal fin spikes that kind of make them different. So the white crappie have 6, and then there's anywhere from 7 to 8 on a black crappie, and I'm like, that's still not that big of a difference. But that was literally the only thing I found that was the easiest way to tell them apart, other than visually they're pretty different. The white has more vertical stripes with the big white belly. I really think that a white crappie looks a little bit more like a bass than a black crappie does, and I think I like to think that they have a little bit of a largemouth bass look to them.
Yeah, I mean, like, white crappie is almost kind of like a if you're familiar with a white bass is technically a panfish. So it's got
Oh,
like
is it?
almost like a white bass look to it, but they're the same fish, it's just different coloring. Like the black crappie is just more like speckles. There's not really any lines at all. It's just like
Right.
black
Yep.
speckles on the top and white on the bottom. But I didn't know that dorsal fin thing. Like that's
Yeah.
there's weird little things like that too with like um muskie and pike. Like when you look at muskie and pike, they're pretty easy to tell the difference with the coloring and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look like underneath their chin, their
Okay.
jawline, there's
Okay.
dots underneath the jawline. And there's
Oh.
more, yeah, there's more on a northern than there is on a muskie. I think that's how it works. And maybe
Okay.
vice versa, but
Right.
yeah, there's like
Yeah.
little dots. They're like I don't know if they're sensory things.
Oh,
They're not like freckles, they're like little holes.
they're not. Yeah, they're not color. They're not coloring like in the case of like the black versus the black crappie and the white crappie. It's almost like there's stripes. There's these dark stripes in the white crappie where the stripes are not stripes in the black crappie. They're
Right.
scattered everywhere,
Yep.
and it's just coloring though. Like it's simply coloring. But you think in the predator fish that it may be some sort of sensor thing.
Well, in those two, it's just those dots. In the
Hmm.
coloring for those are definitely different too.
Right.
Like they're just reversed really. A northern is a northern is dark back with light stripes and dots or whatever. If there's hybrids and stuff, they can
Yeah.
change a little bit, but it's dark background with the light dots,
Yep.
and muskie is a light background with the dark dots.
Ah, interesting.
Yep.
There's some gold in the black crappie too. I wanted to point that out quick before we move on. It's like
Oh yeah,
sometimes there's like little gold flakes in there.
I've never really like paid attention to that, but makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Like
look next time.
definitely if you catch in the right light. Like what next time when we get out crappie fishing, take a you'll see it.
There's
And
gold in them
honestly,
there fish.
I don't know if I've ever caught a white crappie. The more that I
I
like
haven't.
as I did the research on this.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't caught a white crappie because I've never caught a crappie south of where I fish now, and
Yeah,
we don't.
south of the middle of the state.
Yeah, and we don't have white crappie up here.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
even though they do have almost the exact same habitat, it just seems like the white crappie doesn't come as far north
yeah,
as
no,
the black crappie does.
right, nope. They don't come as far north. I don't know what that's all about. They just don't.
Yeah. No, I couldn't find that either because basically they have the same habitat, starts in the Mississippi, like sort of like the middle is the Mississippi
Yeah,
River and it just kind of fans out as you go south. But the black crappie is much more widespread. Like the black crappie goes from basically again the center of it being the Mississippi River and then goes all the way through the Great Lakes and actually in the Great Lakes and basically hits all the way to the East Coast and then just runs
yeah,
all the way down into Florida even. And the white crappie doesn't do that. The white crappies almost kind of just fan out and they basically just go as far east as uh, the as they go as far west as like the west edge of Texas, and
oh,
then they stop short, and they there's like no white crappie in Georgia, but the black
really?
crappie goes all the way into Florida. So it's weird. I really couldn't figure out why that is the way it is, but I think what
That
you're
is
saying,
weird.
it must be a lot of the muddiness, right? Because like a lot of the river, like you got to think most of the things are feeding into the Mississippi, and the rivers that are feeding into the Mississippi are coming out of high elevations from the Appalachian Mountain, from the Rocky Mountains. It's got to be a murkier situation that just
Yeah,
makes for the white crappie to be better suited for it. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's weird. I'm gonna
Um,
have to do some digging into that too. I just always assume that like we just don't get them this far north, and white crappie are just like all in the southern states. I didn't know that there was like they don't go very far. They don't go that far west, and then they don't go that far east. They're just kind of
yeah,
like in the middle of the country, and that's it. Like that's weird.
I know, as people who grew up crappie fishing,
Yeah,
like we've been around crappies our whole life. I just had this assumption that, well, I mean, if there's fresh water, there must be crappies in it. They're
yeah,
just a panfish. Seemed like a versatile panfish. It's like
right.
doing this research. No, that
Yeah.
is not true.
Did you also do any research on the pronunciation?
Whether it
The
was crappie or crappy,
Yeah, crappy or crappy, because people down south, they definitely call it crappy.
they definitely do. I have a
Yeah,
neighbor that comes from the Ohio via Georgia area. Crappy.
yeah, crappy.
Said it with no whatsoever, no, not blinking eye, no jokes, nothing. Just seriously, like, oh yeah, crappie fishing.
Right.
I was like, huh, look at that.
Yeah, that's the same thing with crayfish. You know,
Or
they,
crawfish.
yeah, crayfish, crawfish,
Yep.
crawdad, some of them say. I
Yeah,
just saw,
crawdad I think is more Louisiana, but
yeah, I just had to tell some dude on the the comment thread of, it was like mystery tackle boxes post or whatever, was like, what do you say?
okay.
Crayfish, crawfish, crawdad? And one guy was like, I'm from Minnesota, we say crayfish. And then some guy from California says, no, you guys say crawfish. And then I was just like, you're not from here. We say crayfish. And I was like, it depends on the date, really. I say
That's
crawfish a lot.
yeah,
Like,
me too. I even
it's
call them
just,
crawdads sometimes, just when I'm
yeah,
talking about food, especially when I'm like, get you some crawdads and throw them in a pot. Like I
right.
say like that when I'm talking about food. I do sometimes say that. That's just because I'm kind of obsessed with the Louisiana boil, which I've never done. Got to work on that one. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm with you. I crayfish, crawfish. I never say crappie though. That has
I never
never been
know.
in my
I never say
vocabulary.
crappy, even though, like, when you think about it, that's probably how you should say it.
I mean, when you look at the spelling, it definitely
Yeah,
says
because there's two
crappie.
P's. Crap E.
Right, right.
So I was looking at it.
I
But
think
whatever.
us.
You people down south say auntie. There's a U in there. It's definitely auntie. So suck it.
So my research would say that, if you're going to the vegetation, finding weeds and fallen trees and stuff like that, that's where you're going to find them.
Yeah.
Is that the way you fish them, and is that also the way they spawn still? Because obviously, you went into the bass spawn
Yeah.
a few episodes ago, and when you read about the crappies, it's like spot on, exactly what you said about bass.
Yeah. I mean, they're really in the same area. It's just that the crappies are willing
Now it's in your
to,
head.
yeah, crappies. Um, they will spawn like real close to each other. They don't care. They're just
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, let's have an orgy, bro. It's whatever. I'm gonna make my bed here. You can make your bed there. Like, we can high five when she gives us some eggs. Just be like, yeah, dude, I got some. You got some. It's a good day.
It's a good day.
But but, but they like a lot of the same areas. Yeah, it's very similar. And then um, the laydowns or fallen trees. That's kind of a like fisherman term. They call them laydowns.
Okay. Yep.
And then reeds. One thing that's tricky
Mm.
about reeds is if the water's not super clear, they're harder to see because at this time of the year they haven't grown up out of the water. Reeds will are
Oh,
emergent vegetation, so the reeds will actually poke out of the water, and you'll see them in the summertime. But earlier, there are some dead ones that'll like snap off, like a little bit above the
okay.
water, so you'll
Yep.
see those sometimes. But if you know where reeds are, like Lake Shamana, anybody that wants to go fishing, I'm not trying to hold back secrets here. Like, that's not what we're about here.
Right.
Um, any place on that lake, I am not kidding you. Any place you can find reeds under the water, there
Hmm.
will be crappie. Just go find any reeds in the shallows when it's time for spawning and throw a
Hmm.
crappie minnow on a bobber, and you will catch crappie. And you might catch a walleye because they're kind of in the same area, and you're for sure going to catch bass. You're going to. They're up there and they're hungry, and that's why the bass opener is later, because they are strapping on the feed bags, like getting ready to spawn and
Oh,
stuff. So,
ah. So when the crappies are spawning, the bass are getting ready to spawn.
well, I don't know if it's. I shouldn't even say that it was they're strapping on the feed bag for spawning. It's like the water temperature is warming up and their
Yep.
metabolism is starting to raise, and they're just
Right.
eating like mad,
Yep. Yep.
and
For sure.
they will eat the minnow that you're casting out. Like I probably catch just as many bass as crappie when I'm out there fishing for crappie.
For crappies.
Yeah,
Holy
but I'm
crap.
not trying to catch bass. I just end up catching it because
Right,
you'll see
because
the
they're
bobber,
aggressive.
and like sometimes the crappie will take it so gently, and they'll all of a sudden you'll just see the bobber just moving ever so slightly to the left, and
Yep.
you're just like, all right, there's one there. And then all of a sudden you'll be watching it. Every once in a while it'll go fast for a crappie, but most of the time you'll just see it go boom, and you're like, ah, shit, there's a bass. Just disappears.
Just gone. That's
Yep.
funny. I did read that the um, crappie fish during spawn can lead to walleyes, and that just generally
Oh
speaking,
yeah.
crappie fishing can lead to walleye catching. Because I didn't know this. I really thought walleyes were way deeper than well, given the big white eye,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
assume that they're deep, just a deep water fish. But when I was researching the crappie, it was just like, yeah, when you're walleye fishing or crappie fishing, you could catch either because they're really actually competing for the same kind of food. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I had no
in
idea.
this in
No
the
idea.
springtime for sure. In the summer they'll go
Okay.
deeper, and the bigger walleye a lot of times will like eat perch, and they'll
Oh,
feed on some of the same bait fish and stuff, but in the springtime they're definitely in the same area.
okay.
But more the walleyes seem to be roaming a little bit more open water. So
Sure.
you might catch one coming through, but they are definitely in the same areas. The
Right.
crappie are in one spot, and the walleye are just roaming because they're done
They're just
spawning.
like floating around in the same area.
Yep. Because the crappie or the walleye are done spawning by the time the crappie spawn. So,
Oh, okay.
yep.
But there's still like the walleye, and we're not trying to talk about walleye. I know we're trying to, but this ties back to the crappies too. Is like pretty much like we opened this whole segment up with. It's like it's dependent on water temperature. That's why
Yeah,
our recent trip had to get canceled because it got cold as hell, and it's just like the water temperature is driving everything. The water temperature is way down
for
now,
sure.
or
And it's
not
been
going
like
up, I
just
should
cloud.
say.
Yeah. They like a nice stretch of like nice weather. It's been like cloudy and rainy and just shitty. It's
Even snowy in some
Yeah,
places.
yeah, the water temperature has to get up to around like 55 degrees, and the
Hmm.
air temperature has been lower than that for like the past 2
Right,
weeks. So,
right. And walleye are the same way, right? Like they're driven by the water temperature as well. It's just
yeah.
it's not like
Yep.
barometric pressure or something. I don't know. I'm
No,
just
right.
making some
No,
stuff
it's yeah, it's the same thing. They're driven by the water temperature, but the water temperature is way lower for a walleye spawn.
for them. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, like
So
up
then as things
north.
start to level out, they mix and mingle and
Yeah,
all
like
that
up
shit.
north, a lot of those lakes where the ice like is just starting to go off. Like the walleye
Hmm.
are spawning up there right now.
Oh, okay, sure.
So, or they run up into the river too, and the river can be the moving water can be a little bit
Hmm.
warmer sometimes.
Oh,
So,
sure. Yep. Yeah, that
yep,
makes sense.
and the north side of the lake, they spawn earlier. There
Oh,
are fish
interesting.
on the there are fish on the south side, but it's how the sun rises and sets and stuff, and the
Oh,
majority of the wind comes from the south.
okay.
So I mean, there's east and west, but like
Right.
very rare does the wind come from the north down. It goes from the south and pushes all the surface water is warmer, and it pushes all
Hmm.
that warm water to the north side of the lake. So
Oh,
with the sunshine
nice.
and the way the surface water gets moved and stuff, the north side heats up faster. So they spawn earlier on that side.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy, dude. Good
Yeah.
ass tip. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't want to. I just got to get the records out there. 5.9 pound record.
I know.
Average size is 10. The average size is 10.8 inches. Largest is 19.3. Oldest is 15
Damn.
years old. Let's go back to the weights and measurements before we move on. Is because 5.9 pound, a 6-pound crappie? Are you kidding me? That's insane.
Could you imagine that? 19
No,
inches for a
no,
crappie?
a 19-inch crappie. I don't even know if I've caught a 19-inch walleye before in my life.
I think my record is in like 14.
For a walleye or for a
That's
crappie?
crappie. That's
What are you
kind of crazy. Is that like 5 inches is all that's different? But they get thick
They can
and they
get
get
thick.
tall.
I've
The
seen those
dorsal fin
before.
to the bottom. The crappie get big.
Yeah, like wide, I guess, for not wide in like the Z axis, but wide in like the Y axis.
Yeah,
Vertically.
yeah.
Vertically they get big.
They get big. Yeah, I've seen pictures of some tanks. I think my biggest was like 14 inches, which would put it somewhere in the realm of like getting close to 2 pounds. And
Okay,
the
yeah.
and the record is 3 times bigger than that. Over 3 times.
Could
If
you
I'm close to
imagine?
2 pounds, no, it'd be nuts.
That's
It'd be like,
crazy, dude.
just like I was talking, it'd be like the bobber just going dunk and be like, that's a bass. And you set the hook and you're just like, oh, damn, it's a big bass. And then you get it in, you're just like, holy shit, that is the biggest crappie anybody's ever seen.
Ever.
Ever. That thing is gnarly.
It's crazy, dude. I just saw those and I was like, okay, I have to mention these at least because okay. So before I don't want to gloss over this point. So before we wrap up on the crappie, I want to say that Japanese whiskey is looking great for all
Oh.
you audio. This is only audio, but hey, I couldn't, I
Hey,
couldn't do
it's
it.
tasty. I like it.
um, so before we wrap up on the crappie topic, I wanted to say about the regulations because like I'm sure it's different everywhere across the country. Of course, I stuck with
Yeah.
Minnesota just to keep things simple for myself, for us, and for being Minnesotans, and encourage you to go and look at your regs before you go fishing because seriously, this can change every lake that you go to here in Minnesota.
It's very true.
I was
And
just like, what?
and it's
The
not just
body of
crappie.
water?
Yeah.
Shit.
Chaminade still has they changed pike last year. Northern is what we call
Oh,
them here in case people
right.
get confused when we're saying that. Like I forget people don't call them northern everywhere, but
Yep.
um pike they changed it. It might have been, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but they changed it from a 5 possession limit to 10. You can have 10 a person. But I forget what the exact number is. There's like you can have 10 up to this size and then like one
You're
over
still
this
saying
size.
pike? This is still
Mhm.
about pike?
Yep.
Jesus.
You can have 10 now. But on Lake Chaminade, you can still only have 5.
Ah.
Yeah, there's a slot limit there. Like they want to raise big ones and I am noticing the difference. I have definitely
Oh,
caught
really?
Yeah, I've definitely went from like cuz it's a lake where a lot of people fish for muskies. And like
Oh,
I
okay.
definitely fish for muskies and I notice a difference from like catching a little pike here and there to all of a sudden just like, oh, I went for muskies this morning and didn't get a muskie, but I did catch a 10-pound pike. So
Jeez.
yeah,
Nice.
and I've seen pictures of like 40 plus inches. So just as
Pike
big,
on that
yeah,
lake?
pike on that lake just as big as
Damn.
the muskies now.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's that. So many questions there, but like it's 10 is the limit that I said. Like 10 is the baseline for crappies too. So when you were
Yeah, isn't
talking
that
about
weird?
like a northern being
Yeah,
10 possession, like I'm like, how in the hell can a panfish and a predator fish be on the same possession limit? I'm just like, what the fuck?
it's
Are you
because the
sure? I
yeah,
thought you
it's
switched because of that alone. I
no,
just thought you had switched back to crappie.
no, the pike on a lot of the lakes are getting a little bit out of control. They eat so many of the small fish because
Okay.
they're the small pike are like ferocious. Like
Really?
given the certain time of day, man, they're hitting everything that moves.
Wow.
And I have I've had people in the boat to bear witness to what it's like if you get in the right spot at the right time.
Okay.
I had a Rapala DT10 and I was casting along the weed edge around the back of this the island that's on the lake. I
Mm-hmm.
am not shitting you. I caught a pike every single cast.
Oh my God.
Every single one. If they would have had that 10 limit, like we all could have caught our limit that day. It just would have just been like,
Really?
yeah, and they weren't big. That was
A good
when
eater size.
that's when I started keeping them because I'm like,
Yeah.
this I gotta stop this shit. Like it got annoying. Like I love catching
Like
fish, but it got to a point where I'm just like, really, another one?
you're just like, it's not what I'm trying to. You weren't even
no,
fishing for pike
no, I was trying
necessarily.
to catch bass. I was bass fishing. I caught a pike
So you just started keeping the northerns just because.
Yeah, it's like I got them into like a feeding frenzy where they were like competing with each
Sure.
other. I bet you
Yeah.
money there was a bass thinking about eating it, and the pike kept getting to it first
Right.
because they're faster. Just little
Just makes
missiles
sense.
through the
So small, so
over and
skinny,
over.
just aerodynamic.
Yeah,
Hydrodynamic, my bad.
hydrodynamic.
Ooh.
Don't
Yeah,
cancel
so
us.
yeah, anyways, that was what I just wanted to like I wanted to bring it to a close with that because I couldn't believe that like there's a higher possession limit if you go to like the Wisconsin border with Minnesota and you fish a border water.
Oh,
So
okay.
you could be like leaving, you could come back into Minnesota with like 15 crappies, and I'm making that number up, but it was higher. And you could have
Yeah.
more because you could just be like, I was fishing the border. And
Well,
I'm just like, that's hard. What?
yeah,
That's so weird.
we used to be 15 around here too. I can't remember what
Oh,
year they
okay.
changed that, but we used to be 15 a person, and then they changed it at one point in time.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that was just like we were taking too many of them. Plus, they don't have any
Right.
rules that say like the other fish. A lot of them have those seasons, so you can't go and pick them off the spawning beds. But
Right.
we don't
Right.
have any rules for that for panfish, so we can just go pick them off the bed. But
Yep.
that being said, as far as conservation goes, you should be shit, keep punching the fucking boom. I'm not this is the first time ever
You can't
using
hear
the
it though,
boom.
so don't worry about it.
Oh good. This is the first time ever using the boom too for anybody at home. So if you hear that like we're not hearing that noise right now, but if for some reason later on you are hearing something or you're watching the video and I keep going, damn it, it's because I've never used this before. This is a brand new thing. I've been able to talk with my hands before, and this is a learning curve. I'm gonna have to get used to it. But
We're hand talkers.
yeah, and especially now that we have the videos, so it's
Right.
just like we don't know exactly what to do
We're
with
Ricky
them, especially with
Bobby.
this boom here. But like 10 inches is about what you want to keep. Like over 10 inches
Oh,
you
okay.
technically should be putting back.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're having a hard day and you catch a couple that are over or whatever, it's not a big deal. I've caught
Mm-hmm.
ones that are bigger. It's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
judgment call. You got a bunch of 10s in the
Sure.
live well and you catch an 11, you're just like, fuck, that's my limit though. Yeah, whatever, keeping him.
You're like, I'm
But
just gonna keep that one.
yeah, they just do, the bigger the fish, the more fry there is potential to produce, because you have to have
Right.
both the male and the female to
Yeah.
make more fish. And also
Right.
too, had to explain this to my wife before, where it's just like a chicken. When you cut
Mm-hmm.
open the fish and it has the row sack of eggs in there,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Oh my god, it's full of babies." No, it's full of eggs. They're not babies until they're fertilized. They all have
Right. Right.
eggs.
Right.
Don't feel bad about it. You're not
Right.
killing babies. You're just killing the mom that wanted to have babies. So
Yeah, that sounds so much better.
yeah,
But
it's
I
better.
know exactly what you mean though. It is like it wasn't it's not like, which is weird, sharks, right? That actually hatch the eggs inside their body. Some sharks hatch the egg inside their body.
Yeah,
This is not what's happening here with these freshwater fish. This is not, there's not
right.
already developed embryos in there. These are just potentials. And like whatever. I mean, there's it's a panfish. There is no season on panfish in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Catch what you catch, but like I get it. There's unwritten rules of the road, so to say, and you're great to point them out. Because I
Thanks.
don't know that stuff, right? Like I'm just like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
looks like a meaty fucking fish. I should just
Yeah.
eat that thing. But
Yeah.
there's
And
actually a lot that goes into that, like a lot of thinking that you should
and
go
there's no
behind it.
rule that says you can't. So like, don't come at me with just like, I'm gonna keep whatever the hell I want, like, because you can. I'm just saying, like, it's better for the like next year and the year after that and
Yeah,
stuff.
well,
Like if you keep all the
exactly
big
how you
ones, eventually your fish are gonna get smaller or your numbers are gonna go down. You might have some bigger ones, but they're gonna be more less frequent. You won't have as many because there's not as many offspring because you're taking away the big girls that are gonna lay the most eggs. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly what you said at the beginning. It's just conservation. It's just sort of a
yeah,
general, like if you're an avid fisherman, these are sort of the unwritten rules of the road, and that like you should. And I have with Earth Day, there's been a lot of social posts about conservation and all that stuff that's coming around the time when we're recording this podcast, and even our last podcast about giant sylvinia, right?
yeah,
You as someone who enjoys the outdoors, as anglers and fishermen and fishers that are just out there, whatever kind of fishing you're doing, whether it be, trapping crawdads like we talked about earlier
yeah,
or pan fishing, there is sort of a level that you get to where you have to start to observe that conservation, those unwritten rules of the road, because even though there's no DNR law in place, again, DNR is what we call our conservation officers around here, our conservation department around here,
right,
in Minnesota.
yep,
There may not necessarily be anything in the regs that stops you from doing that. It's sort of just best practice, and I think
right,
there's only one way to do that, and that's listen to the Real AF TV podcast and get your hot tips.
yeah, for sure.
But seriously, it's like, if you're going to get into it and find somebody. We've talked about that with our hobbies podcast that we did a while ago, is if you're really going to get into something, find somebody who's really into it and learn.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think you're making a really good point there.
That's what I did. That's how you advance. Like you can get out there and do it yourself. The hands-on learning is going to teach you stuff, but there's shortcuts by listening to people that have been there before, and they can give you tips and kind of cut some of that stuff. That's just like when people are tournament fishing. Like a good analogy is like when they're out there and they're using their electronics, they're trying to eliminate dead water. The people that are winning aren't necessarily like the greatest fishermen in the world. They've just figured out where the fish are. Instead of fishing the whole lake, they're just fishing the spots where the fish should be. They're eliminating that dead water by using the knowledge that they've gained. And if you use the knowledge that you gain by listening to podcasts like ours or other places, that's how you get better, You might be practicing your techniques all day in a certain spot of the lake, and you might not learn anything because you don't have any fish to show you if you're doing it right or wrong, or you're not getting any hints because you're not getting bit.
Right. No, that's a really good point. That's
to go try to use a pickup line in an empty field. Hey girl, what are you doing? Oh, struck out
You're
again.
the only person around for 3.5 acres.
There's nobody there. You're just like, God, I'm not finding any women, man. I've been trying everything. They're just like, well, have you actually found any of them? No. Well, go where they're at. That's the problem.
They're not in open cornfields, dude.
They're not in the cornfield. Christ.
Oh, all right, dude. Let's end this fishing segment on some shenanigans then, and move on to the second half of the podcast. The Random Take Part 2. We are going to talk about the NFL draft, because I am not a sports guy, but Tim gets
wearing
in the NFL,
a wild
and
hat.
I have questions.
I'm not a sports guy.
Okay. I do my best to follow hockey, but that's also going to be part of what we talk about in the next segment, part 2, random take, NFL draft. Here we go. Take the break.
I don't know what I'm doing.
And we're back from the break. Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, a show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. Let's talk about the NFL, Tim.
All right.
I think the video just makes, oh God, we got to stop talking about the audio listeners are just going to be like, oh man, fuck these guys. They didn't
Yeah,
even
plus we're
put
going to
this
put
one
it
up.
out and they're not even going to get to watch it. They're just going to be like, where do we find the video? We're just like, you can't have it yet. Just listen to us talk about it.
Okay, I wanted to talk specifically about the NFL draft because the NFL draft is coming up. A few days after the launch of this podcast. It is actually on April 29th of 2001. The 2001 NFL draft is on April 29th, which is a Thursday, which it brings me to my first point. What up with Thursdays? Like,
well,
when did the NFL start doing Thursdays? Like, do you have any recognition of that? Just
well,
like all of a sudden Thursdays became NFL day out of nowhere.
well,
to
yeah.
me.
So they started doing like Thursday games, but I think the draft has always been on a Thursday because the draft isn't one day; it's 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, the draft is the first round is the bigger deal because that's all the heavy hitters for the most part. Where like your quarterbacks are going and stuff. So and some of
Okay.
the like high end prospects of like receivers and running backs and stuff. But a lot
Okay.
of the skilled positions is what they call them, like running backs,
Oh, really?
receivers, tight ends, stuff like that. Those are
That's what they really call them. Like, it's literally called like a skilled
yeah,
position.
yeah. That's just kind of I don't know if you like literally like if you found it in like a on the back of their trading card or whatever, it's not going to say skilled position, but it's like that's what they refer to it as because you have to,
Okay.
like the
You
defensive
have to
players and
hone.
stuff. They they,
You have
they
to
all
like
have
hone in on
skills, but
something.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a difference to making those catches and stuff like that. It's different. So
Yeah.
those are kind of called the skilled positions, and
Okay.
so round 1 is on Thursday. Round 2 and 3 are on Friday, and they start different times. Round
Okay.
1 starts, I don't know, 6 o'clock, whatever Eastern or whatever, shit like that. And then I think it might be later than that. But then round 2 and 3, I think, starts a little bit earlier than that because it's 2
Oh.
rounds, and then
Okay.
Saturday is like almost all day because then you got I think there's 7 rounds, so Saturday is 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Oh, they just like run the gamut on that one. They
Yep.
just go. Well,
Yep.
yeah. So that what you said is goes because I have to do research on this stuff. I don't really know much about the NFL. Well, sports in general. But anyways, we'll keep going on that. This is the life of a geek, and the 2020 was the largest audience that the NFL draft has ever seen, and it peaked at about 9 p.m. ish Eastern
Yeah.
time, which makes me go back to what you just said. The reason why I bring it up is because it was like 19 point. I said, why did I said that really weird? 19. 19.6 million viewers at about 9 p.m. in that first round was their peak viewership of the first round. And of course, again, I keep saying first round. I'm doing that on purpose to drive home that, like you already said, first round. That's when all the big hitters go, is in the first round. That's always the big deal, is to go in the first round.
Yep.
So we'll just say 9 o'clock. You said it might start at 6. The time's not necessarily important, but it's always the first round that gets that big viewership. And it
Yeah.
makes me ask the question is, maybe you're right. Maybe 9 o'clock is sort of the middle of the draft, because how many teams are in the NFL? 32, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if there's 32 teams, that means everybody gets a turn.
Yep. Well,
Do you think that?
that's how it's set up. Yeah, but there's a
Oh,
lot of trades and shit. So,
okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
well, so like there's a lot of you can trade for futured picks. So it's set up to have 32. There are 32 draft picks, but you can trade away your draft picks. So each team has a draft pick, but some of the teams own other people's draft picks because of trades. Like the Miami Dolphins have a shit ton of draft picks. Like they're talking about like making other trades with other people and stuff, but the Miami Dolphins I think have like 5 first round draft picks this year. Yeah.
5
Yeah,
first round draft
I think
picks.
so. Yeah.
There's 32 teams.
Yeah.
32
Yep,
teams
5
in
of
the
the top.
NFL, and
Yep.
they have, and every round has 32 picks.
Yes. Yep. Every round is 32.
And the Miami Dolphins own 5 of the first 32 picks in the 2021 draft.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Pretty sure something like that. I mean, they can make trades and stuff. I know there was some talks about. I saw a headline that was like the Dolphins are at it again. So,
What does that
but
even mean, though?
what?
When have the Dolphins been good since Dan Marino left? Like,
Well, no, they
never?
weren't saying that they were good. They were just like they made all the trades to get those draft picks in the first place. So now they're like talking about like they're making more trades and stuff. So they're just like, yeah, here goes the Dolphins again.
Oh,
But the
I
Dolphins
assumed
are
first
going to be
round
good.
draft picks turned into winning seasons. That was a poor choice of words on my
No,
part.
you get better draft picks when you suck shit.
Wait,
the
now let me bring that up though, quick about the NBA, because you follow basketball pretty
yeah.
closely. So that is not the same principle in the NBA. How does that work?
It's the NBA is the same principle, but the NBA is a lottery.
Okay.
So your odds of getting the first pick are better when you're the shittiest team, but it's not guaranteed. Where it is guaranteed in the NFL, it's not a lottery. If you are the shittiest team, you
Okay.
get the first pick.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the Jacksonville Jaguars are most likely going to take Trevor Lawrence, the best quarterback, in most people's opinion, coming out in this draft.
Yep.
So
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence will be a Jaguar, and it really kind of fucks over a lot of those kids. You're just like, you're the top draft pick. You're the top prospect. You've worked your whole life for this moment. Congratulations, you made it to the NFL. You get to go to the team that had the shittiest record last year. It's kind of fucked up like that, but it's like whatever. But that's why Joe Burrow plays for the Cincinnati Bengals, because they were bad. That's why the Cincinnati, or not Cincinnati, I just said that, the Browns, the Browns got to choose a quarterback 2 years in a row, the number 1 pick, because they picked Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel just shit the bed, and I don't even know what he does now. Bakes groceries, but and then they got Baker Mayfield the next year. So, but
Bakes groceries.
Yeah,
he's a Tim Tebow, is what you're telling me.
No, Tebow's at least the analyst. I don't know what happened to Johnny Manziel. He's just gone.
Just like
I'm
poof,
sure
he
like
DMX'd
some
it or
people.
what? Hopefully not DMX'd it. Ooh,
He's he moved to a state, stopped making music, and picked up a drug habit. No, no, I don't know what he's up to. I really don't know. I think I want to say
crazy.
like last I heard, he was trying to like play in the Canadian Football League or something, trying to get like acclimated to maybe come in here, and then just I don't think anything ever happened of it.
Yeah,
But,
I actually followed the CFL on Twitter.
Okay.
Because I assumed that it was the Canadian Fishing League. I didn't even know they played football. So
yeah, they have a football league. I used to get Canadian football cards in my regular football card packs, and I'd just be like, the fuck is this shit?
Did you not talk about that in our trading card episode?
I don't know.
That was like our second episode, and I don't remember you saying that.
I might have. I had like the Pro Set, like a box set, and Pro Set was a was I'm sure it's made by some other company or whatever, but I had like the whole set. So I'm getting all these cards and I'm looking through all of them, and I had like a Brett Favre rookie of that year, when he got signed with the Falcon and stuff. And I had some like really cool cards in there. And every once in a while, you'd be like, "Who's this guy?" And then you look at the team, and it's like the Capricorns, and you're like, "The fucking Capricorns? What is this?" And then it's just like, "Oh, that's Ontario's team," and you're just like, as a kid, you're just like, "Where's Ontario?" And then you're just like, "Oh shit, this
Yeah.
is
No.
Canada."
Right. They don't tell us about the provinces until like fucking ninth grade, and then they're
Right.
just like half a class. They're just like, yeah, there's like 8 or 9 or something provinces in Canada.
Yeah, you
There.
guys ever look at the globe and you see that there's like, here's America, and then right above it's Canada? Yeah, there's things. We got states, they got things that are kind of like states. Anyways, on to the next subject.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. And it's like Canada's the majority of North America. Like they have the most land mass of all of North America.
Right, right.
And American public schools are just like, yeah, Canada.
Yeah, yeah, Canada. There's a couple big cities up there, man. If you ever had to talk to anybody, they say when you're up there, they go say, "Hey, okay, all right." Then they talk a little bit more. It's like us, but more so, And then there's like Ontario, Ottawa. Those are big cities. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know where they are, but those are some. Now you can go there. I remember when we were younger too. You used to just be able to drive to Canada. You just drive up and go into
Yeah.
Canada. It was no big deal. And now you have to have a passport to go there.
Yeah.
Like, really?
And
It's just
yeah, and
not even
during
that
COVID,
far.
we're just completely shut off. Only essential workers are coming over the border now. Like you can't even go to Canada from what I understand.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it
Crazy.
feels
Oh,
so weird, especially being
speaking
Minnesotans, right?
speaking of COVID, I also wanted to bring up the fact that is 100% why the NFL draft was as big as it was, because
Yes, it was.
there
Thank
was
you.
no sports going on. There was
Right.
nothing. There was like everybody was like super into like the Japanese baseball league because that was like the only sport you could watch. They're just like, the
Really?
Japanese people are still playing baseball. Let's watch baseball. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I
I mean, I know
remember.
the Japanese culture in general is super, super into baseball. We get really
Yeah.
good. We like in. I mean, we as in like the MLB here is still the biggest baseball league in the entire world. We get a lot of Japanese to come and play in the
Yeah.
MLB. It's
Yep.
really it is a place that the MLB is going and scouting for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
That in Cuba, and they're
Cuba.
huge and they're good. And I had no idea they were still playing last year. I how did I miss that? Because
Yeah. I think it
I'm
was
pretty into
Japan.
baseball.
I'm pretty sure it was Japan, but yeah, they were just like, they were still playing that because I remember, um, my fantasy football league is a dynasty, like where we keep most of our players and stuff. So
Right.
there's like trades going on all off season and everything, and
Oh,
there's like a chat. Yeah, there's like a chat um on Sleeperbot. It's a dope app. I really like it. But
okay. Cool.
Sleeperbot, like, we're constantly chatting like year round on there. And one of the guys
Yeah.
likes to gamble a lot. And he's like, "I don't know anything about this Asian baseball, but I'm just I'm
You know
putting
anything
money
about
on it."
this Asian baseball? He doesn't even know what country it is, and he's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, Asian baseball.
Yeah. It was just
Oh, I guarantee also it was Japan because Japan was supposed to have the Summer Olympics, so they were doing the whole like Florida Super Bowl thing. Like, yeah, there's no pandemic, everything's fine. Too much money's involved.
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
So 100% it was Japanese baseball, even with having not known myself that that's what was going on. I guarantee
Right.
that's what was happening. So you made a really good, or you made a reference to your Dynasty League fantasy. Um,
Yep.
I am curious. Did I'm wondering if the draft and fantasy, there seems to be sort of, in my mind, this is my perception as a geek who doesn't follow that much, doesn't follow sports super closely. There's been, if you could put a line graph, there would be a parallel line of fantasy getting more popular and the draft getting more popular. And you being in a dynasty league, Is that something that influences your league? Like, do you think people are watching the draft or getting more involved in the draft just because they have money on the line with a dynasty league?
For sure. Like, well, so with the draft and stuff, you want to see, like, if you follow, like with us, this year we will draft what's not, so we keep, I started over a little bit there. We keep all of our starters. So we
Okay.
have quarterback, two receivers, two running backs, a tight end, a kicker, and a defense.
Okay.
And then a
And that's what
flat.
plays every
No,
week. Like those are
yeah,
the positions that play every week.
yes, yep.
Okay.
Actually,
Yep.
there might be two flexes. I forget. It doesn't really matter, but we
No.
keep all of our starters plus two bench players. So
Okay.
we only drop 5 players total off of our roster.
Okay.
Out of all the, I mean, you get to have all your starters and your bench players. Normally, you're starting over with a whole new squad, but we only have 5 spots left. So when we draft, we only draft rookies or what's left over, like what other people dropped last year. And
Hmm.
sometimes those prospects that have been dropped end up, getting traded to a different team. And all of a sudden you're just like, I think he's going to be better than he was before. So, and then also like you're just filling up your bench. So
Yeah.
you might be taking, versus a rookie who might not play, you're taking like a veteran who just is okay. But
Sure.
that's all we're drafting. So we're definitely, you're interested in your prospects that you've been watching. You're like, I really like this receiver from this college. I want
Yeah.
to see what team he gets on, and if he gets put in a good situation, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
there's certain teams that are known for throwing the ball more. Like I
Ah,
remember, Baltimore the one year
right.
gets a receiver everybody was really high on, and they're known for running the ball a lot, and everybody's like,
Right.
"Oh shit, he went to the wrong team." So, and I
Damn it.
ended up
Nobody's
actually.
drafting that guy.
So last year, my whole dynasty league, I was, I think, the only one that kept working during the lockdowns and stuff. So everybody was
Oh,
super bored being cooped up and stuff.
yeah.
And we actually ended up drafting before the NFL draft. We drafted our
Oh,
rookies before they were drafted to a team.
which
And
seems to me like the complete opposite, which is why I think what I was saying is there seems to be a parallel line is like people are watching the draft because in 2 weeks they're going to be drafting their fantasy team. So they want to watch the actual draft to get that insight. Just like you
well,
were saying, right?
yes.
Oh, he went to Baltimore. Shit, they don't run the ball, or they
Yeah,
only run the ball, basically. They
right.
don't throw. So I ain't picking him, even
Well,
though he was high on my list before as
right.
a receiver.
Yeah, well, here's what happened. It actually made the draft super exciting. All of us
Really?
kind of dropped the ball on like making it happen again this year, but I think a lot of us were like, I really wanted to do that again
Like
because
you
when
wanted to
you
keep
draft,
doing the
well,
draft before the draft? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, because when you
Okay.
draft all your players, then you're just waiting. Like, where's my guy gonna land? You see, like this team's up, and you're like, oh, that would be perfect for him. Take my guy. I want my
Yeah.
guy on
Yeah.
that team. Come on. And I ended up hitting the jackpot, dude. I had the 8th pick in the draft. So
Okay.
I should have had one of the not worst ones, but like it shouldn't have been that good. And
Right.
I got Clyde Edwards Alaire, and he ended up getting drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. And he would have easily went the first pick overall in our rookie draft
Right.
if we would have
'Cause he went to the
drafted
Chiefs.
afterwards because of
Yep.
his situation.
Yep.
So then I got
Sure.
all this draft capital, and one of the guys, really liked him, and he really likes running backs, and ended up trading me. And a lot of trades made my team into this team that in a snake draft wouldn't be possible. A snake
Sure.
draft is like starting over from the start, where you start from like round one. You go, if you have the first pick in the draft, then you have the the next round, you have the if you have the first pick in the first round, you have the last pick in the second round.
There you go. That's how you do
Yeah.
it. Yep.
So that's, snakes back and forth. And
Right.
in the snake draft, my team wouldn't have been possible. And because of that, I won.
Nice.
I was the champ last year. So,
Champ, baby, champ.
you're a champ. And that stellar team I got to keep. All those players came
Right.
with me to the next year.
Right.
And hopefully
Hell
they
yeah.
stay healthy. Two of my best players were injured on my bench. So,
Oh, damn.
yeah, I made some
Does
trades last year for a guy that was hurt because I had so much depth, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll take him, and hopefully he gets healthy next year. So now I have
hopefully.
potentially a better team than I had last year, and that's where the real money come in because our dynasty team or league, if you can win 2 years in a row, then you get the dynasty pot. The money just rolls over until
Oh,
somebody wins two
hell
years
yeah.
in a row. Yeah.
Which is exactly what I said when I was like saying this is like I think there's like there's money involved now, right? Like you
Oh
have
yeah.
these dynasty leagues and even just regular fantasy leagues where you're just like renewing every single year. There's almost always money involved, just a little local, everybody kicks in $20 or whatever, but it doesn't the amount of
Yeah,
money
ours is a
doesn't
little
really
bit
matter
higher.
because you want to avoid the tax man, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
hey, I'm the tax man, see? I'm going to come and get you.
Right.
But seriously though, on like I do think that even if it is as little as like $3 a person, $5 a person, $5, and it's like the pot is $100 or whatever the case may be. I do think that it motivates people to just care that much more about the NFL because those moves that you're making each week make a difference. But those moves that you make right away at the beginning of the season with the draft alongside the actual NFL draft, they will influence you going into fantasy league or like your case, you guys actually did it early. Did it make you want to watch the draft more?
Yes. Yeah, that's why we wanted it. Like, that's why we were all excited about it because you're just sitting there waiting, like, where's my guy gonna land? And then the next
Where's my guy?
day,
Where's my
and
guy?
yeah, and I just nailed it, man. Like, I picked up a bunch of different running backs, and they ended up a couple of them ended up not being that good and not getting playing time and stuff, but they landed in ideal locations where like I was able to make some trades for like slightly better players, and then you wrap in
Mhm.
deals where I'll give you these two guys for that one guy, and eventually I just had this team that was just ridiculous. I beat I'm not like bragging about how crazy everything was this season, but there was one game where like the stars aligned and all my players did like just about as good as they could, and I beat the other guy
Mhm.
that I was playing by I think it was almost 100 points.
Jesus.
Yeah, when his team didn't even put up 100 points. I think I beat him by more than his team scored. Yeah, it
Jeez.
was nuts. But that was just one game. The rest of the games I
Right.
kept having injuries and stuff, and I'm just like, man. And my record wasn't even that good. Like going into
Mhm.
the playoffs, like I just kept
Sure.
having people like putting up these stellar games against me. So anything can happen, but it was it was a good season. I was a
It was a
champ,
good
baby. It's a
season.
champ.
And so the to go back or like to specifically focus on like the television version of the draft, because that's really sort of where I was going with this or how this topic came to me because I got a fucking commercial for the NFL draft. Like I was just watching TV. I can't help but acknowledge the video. Did you just get a hair in your drink?
Yeah, like I saw it and I thought I picked it off, and then I went to drink, and like with the
It's in
lights,
your
I
face.
keep, I keep every time I put it up to my face, I'm just like, "The fuck is that?"
Okay. So okay. So the television version, I mean, if it wasn't for all of the televised, the draft wouldn't be that big. Like I just don't remember it being that big in the 90s. And it wasn't. I there's no way it could have been, even though we were kids, there's just no way it could have been as big as it is now because now the
No.
NFL network is covering it, right? But also
Yeah.
the NFL's hyping it up. So like ESPN's covering it, ABC's covering it. They have these like they sprawled the networks now. But also, if you get in with ESPN, that's just Disney and ABC is Disney too.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
let's not get into all that shit. what I'm trying to say is like the NFL Network came around. We were kids of basic cable or like antenna TV.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
then
even
we
have
watched
cable.
satellites come around, right? And then when
Yeah.
satellites came around, what started happening? We got these specific networks. This is where we got the NFL Network. This is where we got like Food Network. This is where we got HGTV. All of these very like what the internet's doing in a hyper focused way. We got
Yep.
these specific versions of channels where no longer were you tuning in at 9:30 to watch the news, which would be followed by a sitcom, which would be followed by a crime drama, which would be followed by static because the TV would go off of air. You are
Right.
now only getting Food Network, only food
Yeah.
stuff for 24 hours a day. You're only getting news for
Yep.
24 hours a day. Like we watch that birth itself, and the NFL Network is a product of that. And
Yeah.
that's where, back to the beginning, the NHL. I don't have any access to the NHL. I love watching hockey. But when you
Yeah.
put it behind that paywall, it's like, fuck, dude. That's so hard for me to track down. Like,
It's the
it's
same
just not
thing
worth
with
it.
the NBA right now.
Yeah?
I think I watched like one Wolves game because we're not good enough to make it on like the regular uh big time broadcasts and stuff. So you
Like
got to get
ESPN
the
and shit that we were just
yeah,
talking
so you
about,
got to
right?
get Fox Sports, and Fox Sports are they're just fucking dicks, I guess. They just charge too much. Like nobody has them. So
Yeah.
it's
And actually, with the following the Twins coming up, um, they're in the same boat as the Wild. Speaking for Minnesota teams, because that's what we do. We're from
yep.
Minnesota. Bally Sports. He's like, who's that? I thought they were an exercise company. Uh,
Yeah.
Turns out they're an exercise company and a casino, and now they own this old, what used to be Fox Sports Network in our area. Fox Sport North
Oh,
is now
yeah.
Bally. And
Yeah, my
I
parents
don't
were
know if
telling
that
me
means
that.
that they're going to be getting better deals, but yeah, you're right. Like if you have certain, and I'll just use Hulu as an example. Like you
That's
had
what I got.
Hulu
Yeah.
last year, you had Hulu Live last year, and Fox Sports North had a deal. But it's like every year they go through negotiations because they
Yeah.
have sports, and it's like they just fight the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Or you just pay the NFL Network directly $12 a month or whatever the case may be, or the NHL Network, right? And it's like, well, fuck, dude. I'm not going to do that for one game every 3 days, or in the NFL's sake, one game
Right.
a week. Like, I'm not going
Yep.
to pay $12 a month for that.
Nope.
But
Yeah.
would you do it for the draft now that you're more involved? You know what I mean? Like, would you
Nah.
ever
You
go all
can
the way
there's
that far?
no, because I don't need to really watch it like that. Like it was fun doing it to watch them do that stuff, and I like to watch the highlights. Like right after they, that's my favorite part is when they tell you about the player. When I get
Yeah.
to watch his highlights, and then I can
Mhm.
formulate my own opinion because a lot of times, like I don't want to say that like I'm some expert and I know everything about him, but a
Yeah.
lot of times I watch these highlights and they're showing all the highlights, and I'm just like, every one of those catches he was wide open. Did he make a move to get wide open or what? Like I'm not you have no contested catches. Like I'm sure he's good and that's how he's getting open, but when he gets to the next level and there's a person that keeps on him that he can't get
Right.
away from, how's
Right.
he gonna do? I haven't seen
Right.
any contested catches and some of that stuff like where you're not proven. I kind of shy away from some of those guys. I have a hard time, you know, this is gonna be
Yep.
my guy. I only get 5 choices. There's not a
Right.
lot of rookies and stuff, but I do think it would be fun to go to one of the drafts, like because
Like in person.
they hold. We were actually for my 30th birthday. Me and Shannon went to Chicago and
Oh,
didn't have
yeah.
any recollection, not recollection, didn't have any knowledge of the fact that the draft was going on there, and they're
Oh,
like setting up for the draft as we're just trying to spend time in Chicago.
right.
And we're like, damn it, we missed it by like a couple of days. Like it was
Shit.
like we were there on the weekend, and like that coming Thursday
Thursday.
was when it, yeah, was when it was going to be on. So I'm like, holy shit, like all the new like the biggest stars in the NFL, the biggest future stars in the NFL are
We're
probably in
gonna be
town right
there.
now. Like,
Right.
they're probably just
Like
like
you could have been
enjoying
eating
themselves.
next to like the biggest NFL star, one of the biggest receivers of that
Right.
season. And but
Yep.
that's also a really good point to like my whole perception of it. You just kind of solidified my perception as almost reality because when it's been on this like rocket ride of popularity
Yep.
and I understand there's a lot of money in the NFL, that America loves the NFL. I like watching football on Sundays. I get it, man. I get it. But like you went to where the draft was happening a few years ago and didn't even know it was there. I guarantee in 2022 you're traveling, you'll know.
Oh, they
You'll
started
know where the draft is. Like
we
if
yeah,
you're traveling during the period of time when the draft happens, you're just gonna fucking know when that is
right.
now.
Yep. We knew you could see like they definitely made a big deal about it around town like once we got
Sure,
there,
sure,
but we
sure, sure.
didn't know. Yeah, definitely had no idea where. I mean, if I would have paid attention more, like I kind of forget about football. I'm so into fantasy football when it's time that when football, like when the season's over,
Yeah,
I kind of stop. Otherwise, I'll get burnt out of it. So I
right.
kind of almost have to take a break of it and go
Sure.
fishing, you know?
Go fishing.
So,
Yes,
and
exactly.
then it's like when
Perfect.
football comes back, that's like, all right, it's getting time to, it's starting to get colder, it's starting to wrap this thing up. So now I get to go back to football because it's getting shittier out to go fishing. But,
Right, right, exactly.
yeah, the other thing that a lot of people do, and if you watch, that definitely happens every year, is Roger Goodell is the NFL commissioner,
Yep.
and he comes out and announces all the picks in the first round.
Oh,
And
okay.
every time he comes out to try to say anything, just everybody's just like, boo! Fuck you, Goodell! Boo! Fuck you! It's great. Everybody does it. They're all just like, you're a piece of shit.
ESPN and ABC are quick to like on the 7-second delay, like trying to
Mm-hmm.
cut off the audio.
Right. You
Oh,
they just have
it's
people
so funny.
piping in their own sounds. They're just like covering up their mouths. You just see it blatantly. The guy's just like, "You're a piece of cupcake," and then just like, I can just say he's a piece of cupcake. Like just those terribly edited, uh,
Yep.
made
The
for TV
dubs.
movies.
Yep.
Oh, those are some of
Oh
the
my god.
best ones ever.
Oh, they are. I
Yeah,
love it.
I got, since we're talking about that, I got to share my favorite one of all time. I was watching Half Baked on like
Yes.
TNT or something,
Yes.
and the the real line in Half Baked, uh, Dave Chappelle's character Thurgood is they're having Kenny go down to the store to get all the snacks, all this stuff.
Yep.
He's like,
Yep.
they give him this list. I need this, I need that, and that. And Thurgood's and like, yeah, get some papers. And what's that stuff? We used to eat it all the time back in the day. Pussy. And,
Yep.
and everybody's like, that's a good joke.
Yep.
And the way that they edit it for TV goes, what's that stuff? We used to eat it all the time in the back in the day. Pudding.
Pudding. That's right.
He says pudding. I'm like, ah! They just literally
Motherfucker
turned
said
it into a
pudding.
food. They have that long pause, that long build up to just like pudding.
To just say
Everybody's
another
just like,
food.
yeah, everybody's just like, huh, yeah. Like, I mean, if you're high, this probably pudding would be a good thing to
Probably
eat.
pudding wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, it's like you're just solving cotton mouth and your sweet tooth and your snacker, and you get it all at the same time, man.
Hits all the notes.
I get it. People say that Dave Chappelle's a genius. I see why. He's hitting all the marks.
Oh shit. Nice. All right, let's end on the half baked note then. Because I just love it.
Oh, so good.
Oh, such a good movie. This
I think
is not the first time that it's come up, and it
no, I
won't
was
be the
gonna say,
last. You
pretty
better
sure
believe
we've
that.
referenced it before. I
Oh,
think
we definitely have.
it's definitely my favorite movie from my childhood. It's weird to say that that's my favorite childhood movie. Favorite childhood movie was watching those guys get fucking high as hell.
As hell. Maybe we're just gonna have to do a whole episode on Half Baked alone, because God, that movie. Anyways, it's not the first time we brought it up. Won't be the
Yeah.
last. Follow us, REELAF TV, on all of the social medias, YouTube, Facebook. If you just look it up, because we had to do a workaround with the handles with the dots and the underscores and all that crap. So if you just look up REELAF TV, please follow us and share with your friends, because we're doing a big live presentation on May 8th. We're
Yeah.
going to start at 9 p.m. No, 9 a.m. Central and go until 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Central on
We're
May
gonna
8th.
be
We're going to do
doing
live.
this shit till 1 in the morning. Even though we technically
No,
are,
no.
you just guys just don't see that.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Anyways, that's it. Please, YouTube, we're live, the Real AF TV channel from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, May the 8th. Come hang out with us. We're going to be playing video games. We're going to be talking about some big announcements with Real AF TV. It's going to be fun. We are not just going to stand there, sit here,
Yeah.
and be blank.
I'm going to be talking about what lures I would be throwing. You want to know what lures to throw? I'll show you what. Well, not. I said that weird. Just had to reboot for a second. I'm going to show you what I would be throwing in that time of year. Remember when I was talking about listen to somebody who knows? Take a little shortcut. Here's your shortcut. I'll tell you what I have caught fish on before and what I will be using again, because I know that it works.
Yeah. So even though we're going to be playing video games, we're going to be keeping it as fishing as possible. It's going to be nerdy, because that's what I bring to the table, but that's also how the video game part works. But yeah, Tim, you play video games. You get nerdy.
I'm a nerd. No, a geek.
A geek. Yeah, I was going to say
geek.
it's geeky. Tech is geek, right? Nerds are like more
losers.
Like...